Good morning. Friday freedom, a fresh Friday freedom. It's what are we at? We're 6 degrees, still warming up. The sun's up, so it's going to get warmer. So today, recovery session. It's all about recovery. So the thing that motivated me to work on this stuff today was my knee. My knee's been giving me jip this week, not massively, but it's just a niggle, and I suspect that I've chopped myself off there. I suspect that some of that is to do with the large amount of glute work that's been done over the last week. So I'm going to work on the sidelines, which obviously feeds into the side hip and down into the IT band. And we're going to use the roller, the stick, and the ball to do some release work, which will help to, I guess, help normalize tissue, muscles, and fascia, and help the body feel a little bit more normal. So hopefully that niggly knee will go away. So if you've got any niggly joints anywhere, because the tissue is pulling on it on one side more than the other, possibly, then today should help that. We're starting with Glute Max and TFL. So these are the muscles that feed into the IT band. So what we'll do a little bit of specific muscle work, and then we'll throw in some bigger movements that are going to help the entire line down the body. And we'll try and take that approach all the way through. So I'm going to get my roller first. This could be spiky ball or roller. Because it's a big muscle, we're just going to hit the glute max with the roller, and I'm just going to divide the glute into two halves. So I'm going top half and bottom half. So top half first. I'm actually going to externally rotate the hip, so I'm dropping that knee out to the side. If I go front on, that will be much easier for you, wouldn't it? So one out to the side, one straight, and I'm just going to roll straight through the top half of the glute. So 5 rolls. We've done some of this stuff before, but there's no harm in recapping, particularly when there's tightness in those areas. So there's my 5. I'm now going to roll across the fibers. So I'm kind of rolling the pelvis left to right. So that involves both legs to move the whole pelvis, but we're still on the same side of still on the right glute. Now we're going for the bottom half. So rolling, I'm going to try and keep that hip externally rotated, so that knee dropped out to the side, and rolling through. So not too much, just a few rolls. 5's probably a good number. We don't want to just be rolling backwards and forward mindlessly. Otherwise, the brain will be like, well, what are you supposed to be doing? What's the message I'm getting here? So 5 of those, and then we're going across. This is going to be harder because the sit bone's right in the way. It's going to be clicking over the sit bone, really. That's how it feels. And then TFL is at the front of the hip. I'm going to switch to the spiky ball here because it's a bit smaller, because only 30% of the TFL feeds into the IT band. So I'm going to go onto my front. This is tender. And I'm just going to roll around the front of my hip there. So if I give you a landmark, so this is my pocket here. And if you come up to the top of the pocket where you would slide the hand into the pocket, that's pretty much where we want to be, maybe slightly to the side. So we're back on, and I'm just rolling around, feeling for tightness at the moment, for tension. So once I have found what I'm looking for, I will just pause. I'm actually going to release with awareness here. So I'm actually going to just use the breath. And I'm going to torque that muscle down. I'm going to ask it to relax. Get the ball to sink in. What I forgot to do at the beginning was a sit and reach. So once this is done, we're going to go jump up for a sit and reach before we get our way down, all the way down the list. Oh, that's good. I can feel that changing. Okay, so before we do too many other things, let's quickly just come back and sit and reach nice and slow. How does it feel through the lower back, the hips, the knees, the ankles, the shoulders? The knee was happy with there actually, which is good. Or maybe we've already done enough release work that's helped with the knee. But if I was doing that yesterday, that knee would have been grumpy. We'll come back to that as we always do. So we've done a little bit of release on this side. I want to throw in some sideline work so that we kind of reinforce what we've done. So I'm going to do a little step and a sweep. So we're working the right hand line, right hand sideline. I'm doing the step and sweep. So stepping to the side I'm traveling to, step with the left, sweep to the left, and return. So this is now working all the way from the ankle or under the foot even, up to the knee, through the hip, up the side of the ribs. So we've been specific with the release work, but then we're being general with the movement work. And that hopefully will help reinforce the release work. A couple more, and then we're going to go for the other glute. Better work our way down this list, otherwise we'll run out of time. So I'm back on the other side. So again, splitting the glute into two halves. So I'm going top half first. So I'm dropping the knee out to the side. So I'm externally rotating that hip. Then I am rolling through from the back of the pelvis, the top of the glute, all the way to halfway. Just 5 passes, and then we're going to go across the fibers. So throwing the legs together. So getting that pelvis rolling. Good, good, good. So same for the bottom half. Just roll that down, and we're going, drop the knee out. So bottom half now. So from under the sit bones all the way up to halfway. And once you've done your 5, we're going to go across the fibers. Again, this bottom half's a bit tricky because that sit bone's right in the way. But we can do it. Oh, found a tender spot already. Okay, now we're switching back to spiky ball for TFL. So the front of the hip. I'm just going to find that spot, see how that feels compared to the other side. It feels quite different. It feels way less tender. Okay, haven't really found anywhere to focus on. It's all feeling very happy. So I'm thinking that right hip was tightened up. All right. So I'm going to move straight into the sideline. So back up onto our feet, step and sweep. So we're just following up the hip work with the sideline. Step to the right, sweep to the right. You can do both arms if you want. I did one arm. I was going to change it to one arm today. Step to the right, sweep to the right. So what have we got next? We have got calves. I might skip calves. I'm going for quads next. So this time we're going to use our stick. So the great thing with the stick means you don't have to roll on your front. So it's like a rolling pin. So what I'm going to get you to do is just, if you don't have one of these, you can just use your thumbs and work your thumbs down your quad. So the big one in the middle is rectus femoris. So if you go pretty central and roll up and down, Just apply the right amount of pressure that you're not causing pain. So we don't want an 8 or a 9, we want a 5 or a 6. Just going to roll through. And you can change the angles as you go. Imagine you're steering a spaceship, you know, you're going left, you're going right, or a jet ski or something, whatever works for you. We're just changing the angles as you go around the top of the thigh there. You can open up a little bit and head inside the inner thigh and work the adductors if you want to. Again, if you're using thumbs, you'll get much more feedback. So nicer than rolling on your front on a foam roller, because you've got body weight or body weight. You can't really change it too much. Whereas this is kinda. So let's switch to the other side. We're going to know whether this one's worked when we sit on feet later. Oh, hello. There's one spot. If you find a spot, just stay on it. Now, you can mix this up a little bit. Instead of just rolling, you can go across side to side, or you can change the angle. So you can spin the handle around. You know, don't feel you just have to go up and down like a rolling pin. Tissue needs different directions, right? So 3DI is this even. Go across, 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 and so that would be transverse as well, spinning. That's our quads. And if we do a quick sit, lean back, lift the hips, you'll know whether that's feeling tight or not. It's feeling okay. Lats, we're going for the lats. So back to our big roller. We're going to do a bit of a side lie. So you're slowly easing yourself onto here. Now your lats are obviously at the back of your rib cage, high up, and you'll feel you can, if you roll in a sort of a circular motion backwards and forwards, you'll feel the lats sort of drop off and load back up, drop off, load back up. So just find a spot for yourself, just go up and down. You can come quite high up. You're going to get into teres minor and teres major. No, teres major, sorry. Minor is a little bit harder to get to. Oh yeah, right up there. So I'm just going to do a little bit of release with awareness here. A little bit of breath work. I'm just staying on the spot, not trying to cause pain, which is an 8 or a 9. I'm staying at a 5 or a 6. So I'm using my other hand to just lift a little bit off so that I'm not loading entire body weight into there. That's already toned down nicely. You can go backwards and forwards a little bit, or you can roll side to side. Let's try the other side. Just do a comparison. Slowly ease yourself on. Oh, yep. Okay. Just wiggle around till you feel happy, and then you'll feel the meaty part more towards the back of the rib cage rather than the side. The lat comes around the front, and the pec comes around. Sorry, the back lat comes around the back, pec comes around the front, and together they kind of create that armpit space. They create the cavity that is the armpit. So you know when you're on that lat because you're on the back of that armpit. Right, here we go. Release with awareness again. Find the tender spot. Pause for a moment. Dial it down. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're just going to do a couple of things for the scapula because the lats will pull the scapula down. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a child's pose. So drop down and sink into child's pose. arms overhead. And how does that feel? Does it feel like it's nice and free as you sink down? Have we released the lats enough that that will allow the arms to go overhead? Because this is the equivalent of pushing something over your head or taking those arms overhead. So that's a nice test. If that was difficult and you were going lower and lower and lower and you got stuck, then more release work around those lats is probably required. But that felt pretty free for me. So I think that was enough. Pacminer, again, we're revisiting Pacminer. So I'm going to get the spiky ball here, and I'm just going to use my hand rather than the wall because it's easier for you to see. And I'm just in this space here. So here's pec major, the shoulder, front of the shoulder, anterior shoulder right here, and I'm just in that space between the shoulder and pec major. I'm pushing quite hard because it's deep, it's underneath pec major. And if you if you get hard and if you push hard enough, you may start to feel what's going on deeper underneath that pec major. You're just going to roll in this diagonal movement that I'm following here. So from the acromion, which is the part of the shoulder blade that comes through to the front that attaches to pec minor, and then it attaches to ribs 3, 4, 5. So it's this direction that the fibers run in. So we're running with the fibers. And we'll do a little bit of pin and stretch afterwards as well, because I think that's a winner for pec minor. Same on the other side. If you're sitting all week, you're going to be in this slightly rounded position, or at least hunched over a keyboard for some of the week, then it's likely these guys will be a little bit tight. Or if you've done lots of chest work, press ups or bench press, that sort of thing, it could also be tight. So we'll get it going with the ball, and then we'll pin and stretch to finish. So a good test before we pin and stretch is, how does that feel? So a bit of external rotation and then squeeze the shoulder blades. Let's come and do our pin and stretch. So starting at the top by the shoulder, we're going to pin with this hand. We're going to pull back with the other one against the tension. And then you release, repin slightly further down and inwards, following those fibers again, and stretch. Release, pin, stretch, release, pin, stretch, release, pin, and stretch. That's probably enough. Same on the other side. Pin and stretch, release, repin, stretch, release, repin, stretch, release, repin, stretch. Okay, how does it feel now? Definitely freer for here. I don't know about you. Okay, upper traps, necks and shoulders. So this does require a bit of wall because I can't really see very easily. I'm going to go behind the spin bike here. So bear with me, you can just see me. So I'll come in and show you first. Rolling around here. So just at the back of the shoulder in this space here, both sides. So I'm just going to, oh yeah. So I've used the wall, and just be gentle again. Not too much body weight into this that you're going to cause pain. Oh, that's more tender than I expected. And we'll go on the other side. That's way more challenging than I thought. Holding on a point there. Just going to do a quick release with awareness, and then I'll be back on the mat. Okay. Upper traps. Let's do some forearms. This should be fun. I'm just going to use the bench here because what we're going to do is roll the forearms. We haven't really done any forearm release work before, but the forearms work in spirals. So hopefully you can see clearly. What you're going to do is I'm going to start with the palm up, and I'm just going to, as I roll, I'm just rotating the palm down. So using that, following that spiral. So going top of the arm, bottom of the arm, bottom of the arm. That's mostly forearm up to about the elbow. When I get to the elbow, that's where I'm stopping. You could continue and to go further through the up to the into the humerus and up towards the shoulder, but a little bit more difficult. It's doable, but just needs a longer runway. Okay. So roll, roll, roll. You can do this on the floor, just slightly easier on a bench because it's elevated. You haven't got to lie, you haven't got to get so close to the ground, but you could do it on a step or something that is just slightly elevated. And just rolling that through. Let's do the other side. So we get an even amount of work on both. So palm up and then roll it through and back. The workshop's today, isn't it, Karina?
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. Cool. You might have some of this stuff. This is one of the ones we did actually on Saturday. Was rolling the forearms. So
I love it. You can never have too much.
No, definitely. It's an area that gets lots of work. You know, like our hands are working all day, aren't they? So
yeah, this is
you're
great.
absolutely right. Good. Yeah, no, it feels nice. It does feel nice. It's an area that gets a lot of work, but probably not a lot of recovery attention.
Yeah.
You know, we look after the hips and the shoulders and all that stuff and the neck, but we kind of forget the arms. They kind of just come along for the ride. So yeah, it's good to give everything a bit of love. So forearms, what have we got left? We've just got the hamstrings left. So we're going back to the big muscles. So we'll use the roller on the floor for this one because we can use body weight for that. And so let's do that now. So let's hop on. The good thing with the hamstrings, nice big muscle group. So what we can do is split that into two halves. So we'll go top half first. So I'm going from the bottom of the glute through the back of the leg to halfway. But I'm also just changing the angles a little bit. I'm not going in a straight line. I'm tilting inwards and outwards just to hit, you know, different parts of the hamstring area because there's three big muscles in there. And then stop after those five, and we're just going to go across the fibers. So that requires a little bit of tilting of the pelvis, which is fine. Then we go bottom half. So back of the knee up to halfway. Just five short ones. And then pause halfway. Bit easier to rotate side to side when you're lower down because you can just do it from the hip rather than having to shift the pelvis. And that feels pretty good. We're going for the other side now. So top half, bottom of the glute, halfway down. And when we go through our postures, we'll do a little bit more on the forearms as well. Halfway, cross the fibers. And then across those fibers. So we'll pretty much covered all the ground. Good, good, good. So let's drop into our postures, and when we do our sitting on feet, we'll come back to those forearms and work on the inside of the arms. The flexors, extensors, flexors. That was the word I was looking for. Let's go sitting on feet. Now we can start working on those forearms. So throw the fingers backwards, heel of your hand on the floor, and then lean back a little bit. Or take the hands forwards, and you probably don't need to lean back at all. All right, sitting on feet, so toes under. Come back to our toe under position and go back to the forearms. And just park those hands where feels right for you. All right, so deep squat, spin around. A little more challenging, but we'll wait till we're into cowboy and we'll have another go with cowboy. Okay, let's try that now. So one leg under, one leg stays the same. We can start loading into those forearms again, give them a bit of a stretch. And if you feel like that's enough, then just turn around and do the other way. Drop the knuckles onto the ground and see if you can get your wrist at 90 and the end of your forearms are touching the ground or close to it. So you've got this nice opposing stretch. So that's the extensors, that's the flexors. All right, swap the feet around and reposition the hands for whatever feels good for you. Or just alternate between the two. We swapped the legs, did we? Ooh, now I've lost track.
You did.
Yeah, thank you. That means we need to go into Taylor.
And we do.
Feet to feet. Okay, feet to feet. Trying to do too many things at once here. Can't multitask. All right, dropping those knees out. We didn't do a lot on the adductors this morning. We focused mostly on the quads and the hammies, but they can sometimes take over, particularly if hamstrings are not feeling like they're doing their job. The adductors will compensate. So keep an eye on that and see if they feel the same or if one feels tighter than the other. We go side saddle. So throw those out to one side. Okay, we'll go the other way. Spin around. Set up again. There we go. Okay, long sit, and then we must do sit and reach, which I always forget. Cool, all right, long sit. So, the final sit and reach, how does it feel compared to that first one? Take it nice and slow.
Oh, so much better.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
superb. Yeah, yeah, certainly feels.
Down.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Thanks, Rich.
Well done. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. It's great to feel the difference.
Yeah.